I wanted to just comment briefly about the farewell address of our outgoing president, President Joe Biden. And I just saw the portion of the address in which he talks about the quote, tech industrial complex and how it's spreading misinformation and disinformation and how that's a really bad thing. And it's just, there's so much that's just so corny about this. First of all, obviously, obviously, this is an effort to echo the words of President Dwight Eisenhower, his famous farewell address that he gave in I guess it must have been early 1961, just before he stepped down from the presidency. And this is a speech that's also shown at the beginning of Oliver Stone's JFK. And this is the speech where he warns about the growing power of what he calls the military industrial complex. And this speech really made a splash and has continued to reverberate through the decades. It's proven to be prophetic, insofar as what it has to say about the way in which, as it became the world's one true superpower, the way that the United States hierarchy did business, and the way in which it sold wars and made a profit off of the wars that it sold by selling more and more expensive weapons of war that were purchased by the military. Hence the term military industrial complex. The industry makes the missiles and the bombs and the fighter planes and so forth, and the military purchases them, and there you have the complex. But when Biden talks about the tech industrial complex, now I don't for a second think that he wrote these words. I don't know who wrote them, but think about what's being compared here. Think about the parallels that they are attempting to draw between the military industrial complex, which involves people who are incredibly powerful making decisions to start wars and to perpetuate those wars through the financing of weaponry. And this is something that just goes on at a high echelon, and none of us are none of us peons have any say in the matter. It's just the way they do business. It's the way they work. That's the military industrial complex. And that's why calling it out was such a gutsy thing to do. Arguably, Eisenhower was a part of that very complex. Probably not arguably, but he came to see how it was dangerous. Hence his words when leaving office. But when you talk about the tech industry complex, what and how it's perpetuating misinformation. What is being recommended here? What Eisenhower was saying is we need more transparency, and we need the the ordinary citizen should know the kind of things that are going on, the nefarious dealings of the elite, of the powerful. What Biden is saying is that we need tech companies are taking this dangerous step towards not censoring stories that powerful people want to promote. that the problem is that now people are allowed to do their own research and come to their own conclusions and call out the bullshit that they see, which has happened time and again over the last few years, over and over again, over on one issue after another, whether it was all the 2020 stuff, whether it was the Bosch, the thing that they made you put in your arm, whether it was the Hunter Biden laptop, one thing after another, these stories that tech companies were strong-armed into censoring because they went against the accepted or acceptable narrative of the way things are, of what we're supposed to believe, right? And since recently, with the rise of a couple of tech companies, first Twitter/X, and now apparently Facebook, going in the opposite direction and deciding we're not going to have these fact checkers. We're not going to have this tyranny of fact checkers anymore. Now we're going to allow. We're not just going to believe what the appointed experts tell us must be gospel truth. We're going to let other people also say, maybe other people who are just as smart as the so-called experts, perhaps even smarter, perhaps more knowledgeable, and perhaps more honest. We're going to also let them say what they think is going on and not censor it and not just call it disinformation, and use hide behind disinformation and misinformation when people decry censorship. Say it's not censorship. We just don't think that. We just want to protect the people from misinformation. Well, that's your shield. That's been their way of attempting to censor while claiming that they're not really censoring, but they are, because we're supposed to just believe that only the appointed people, only the approved of people. The people who are approved of by the government and by the corporate elites and by pharmaceutical companies and by all the powerful interests just about in our society. They're the ones we ought to trust, and people who question the stories they're putting out there, or who are putting out different points of view, ought to be silenced. The idea that tech companies aren't dancing, that social media is not dancing to that tune anymore, at least not with the instances of first X and then Meta. And again, this isn't to say that Musk and especially Zuckerberg are heroes or anything, but the idea that they would remove censorship and allow different ideas to get out there, that's being treated as equivalent to military moguls in high places at the Pentagon, plotting the next war, plotting the next place to send our troops for cannon fodder, and getting rich off of, or industry getting rich off of selling them weaponry. That's somehow equivalent. That the military industrial complex is somehow equivalent to the tech industrial complex. It's just pretty pathetic. It's pretty dang pathetic.